Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad Al-Fatih Al-Khatim wa ala Ali Al-Qadri wa Midal Lazim. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praises are due to the Almighty Allah, the Lord of the universe, the most beneficent, the most merciful, the sovereign of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, and from you alone we implore help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those whom you have favored, neither of those who have incurred your wrath, nor of those who have gone astray. O Allah, maintain your praise persistently upon our chief and master Muhammad, the key to that which is closed, the seal to that which is past, the upholder of the truth by the means of truth, the proper guide to your straight path, and upon his family according to his eminence and his great honor. Assalamu alaikum. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. I am back on my series of lectures on the topic reflection on the verses of the Holy Qur'an. If you can remember, in the last session, we were discussing how the Almighty Allah chose the genealogy of Prophet Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, that is his forebears, right from Adam down to Prophet Noah, then the family of Abraham, then the family of Imran, and up to his mother, Mary, or Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam. And the verse was very specific. In the last of Adama wa Nuhan wa ala Ibrahim wa ala Imran al-Alamin. And that conversation led us to discuss the virtues of Prophet Abraham elsewhere in the Holy Quran, where it was cited in the chapter Surah Al-Anbiya, where Abraham was engaging the polytheists in the kingdom of Babylon, and how he defeated them, how they resorted to committing atrocities against him by trying to burn him alive, and I was eventually delivered by the Almighty Allah, and he was ordered by the Almighty to leave that city, that kingdom of Babylon, to Jerusalem, that is to وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَلُوطًا إِلَى الْأَرْضِ الَّتِي بَارَكْنَا فِيهَا لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We delivered him along with him, his nephew, not Lot, to the land that we bless for all mankind. That is the land of Syria, the land of Baitul Maqdis. And how Abraham, that is Ala Ibrahim. Here, Ala Ibrahim generally is mentioned. The Almighty Allah declared that Abraham's family was divinely chosen. We know that if Abraham gave birth to two sons, first and foremost, that is his eldest sons were the eldest son of Abraham was Ishmael, then followed by Isaac. According to some scholars of history, he had another child called Madian, who was the great-great-grandfather of Prophet Jethro, or Shu'aib alayhi salam. وَإِلَى مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا. Madian happened to be one of the sons of Abraham. And then and Ishmael was chosen to be the great-great-grandfather of our dear Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his mother, he along with his mother was settled in the valley of Mecca, Wadin Gair Zizar in the Baitik al-Muharram, Rabbana liqimus salah, because Abraham, up to the time he departed from the land of Babylon, he did not have a child. He was praying for years for a righteous son. Then the Almighty Allah on his way, he came to pass by the land of Egypt. And Egypt was then under the rulership of one treacherous monarch who used to take people's women by force. For him, whenever a beautiful woman came to pass by, whether married or not, he will take her for himself. So Abraham's wife happened to be extremely beautiful, and that is why he was so attracted, and he insisted on taking her from Abraham. And he questioned Abraham, "Who is she to you?" قال هي أختي. She is my sister. Because he knew if he were to tell him that he was her husband, he would have been killed by him. And when he said she's my sister, he referred to the religious relationship between him and his wife, that she was his sister in the religion of Islam. And when he made an attempt to approach her, when he reached out to her with his right hand, the right hand got perished. And he made the same attempt with his left hand, it too got perished as well. Then he concluded that this was not a human being. She must be a bad spirit. She must be a jinn. And upon this conclusion, he asked them to take her away. But he said she wouldn't come here to my palace without going with anything. No. Just give her this young woman Hagar. So she came along with Hagar to Abraham, and the three of them, including Lot, four of them, headed for Jerusalem. And on their way, they came to pass by the land of Jordan. And between Jordan and Jerusalem, Prophet Lot was asked to stop there, and he too was appointed a prophet and sent to his people, to the people of Sodom. And Abraham proceeded on his journey to the land of Jerusalem. After his arrival, then his wife told him that since we got so much advance in age now, you are almost 100 years old, and I am so much close to you by age, somewhere around 90 or 90 plus. So that means we may end up not having a child. Instead, I suggest that you take this young girl as concubine, because she is given to me, and by my own right, I, in my turn, have given, I hereby give you this young woman to take her as your concubine. And he did, so that they may have a child. And this young woman conceived from Abraham. When she put to bed, she gave birth to a male child who was called Ismail. Isma in Arabic language means, oh, hear me out. Il in the language of Hebrew mean Allah. Allah. That's why you have such names as Israel. Isra means the servant. Il means Allah. Therefore, Israel means Abdullah. That is why it was the title of Prophet Jacob, alayhi salam. Abdullah, Israel, Jabrail, Mikael, and so on. So, that means, oh, hear me out, oh Allah, Ismail. Since Almighty Allah had Abraham out, and He granted Abraham what he prayed for, that is the child. So the child was named Ismail. Hear me out, oh Allah. And naturally, the old man was so much inclined to the newborn baby and his mother. which is quite natural for someone advanced in age up to 100 years of age and even beyond, for example. And then without him having a child, it is quite natural for him to be inclined to the child and his mother at this age. And so was Abraham. So the old woman, that is Sarah, felt that she is being deserted. She lost her husband to this young woman and her child. So because of that, she insisted that Abraham must take this young woman and her child out of the house. That the young woman and her child must be driven out by all. She would never cohabit with that young woman in the same house. So what was left for Abraham to do? Of course, to wait for the divine decision, to wait for what the Almighty Allah would say. And that is exactly what Abraham did. He waited for the divine instruction. The Almighty Allah instructed him to take the young woman along with her child to the valley of Mecca. And he did. The Prophet ﷺ, in a tradition reported by Imam al-Bukhari in his famous collection on the authority of Abdullah ibn Abbas, said that the first woman to ever tie her waist in the civilization of humanity was the mother of Ishmael, Hagar Ismail. She was the first ever to use a piece of material to tie her waist when they were about to take off from Beit al-Maqdis to the valley of Mecca. And when they arrived there, to show you when the Almighty Allah declared a whole family as the divine family, as the family of Allah. Inna Allah astafa Adama wa Nuhan wa ala Ibrahim. How the family of Abraham was divinely chosen. This young woman was settled there with her child by Abraham. Abraham settled them there. As he turned his back to make his way back to Beit al-Maqdis, the young woman asked him that, "Sir, are you going to leave us here, leave me here with my child in this deserted valley with no one else?" He kept quiet. She repeated her question the second time. He kept quiet as well. And on the third time, she asked, "Oh, is it the Almighty Allah that instructed you to do so?" He said, "Yes." Then she said, "Well, if that is the case, inna Allah la yudayyu ahlahu." The Almighty Allah will never ever let down His family. Since we are a divine family, we are the family of Allah, the Almighty Allah will never let us down. You can go. And Abraham left them there. When they ran out of their food and water, the baby was crying out of thirst, was crying for water. So she went towards the mount of Safa. She left the baby there. She went and mounted she ascended the mountain of Safa and turned around in search of anyone around with some water to save the life of the baby. And she couldn't see anyone. She came down and headed towards the Mount of Marwa. She ascended the Mount of Marwa, and between the Mount of Safa and Marwa, she hastened her trek. That is kind of, she accelerated her speed, and she reached to the mount of Marwa and ascended it and turned around. She couldn't see anyone. She did that 7 times. On the 7th time, she came back to the child, and she found that Angel Gabriel was sent by the Almighty Allah to strike the ground under the feet of the baby, and the water gushed out to the surface. That water was called Zamzam. She was the first to call it Zamzam. Zamzam in their language means that the water should just keep to one place so that it wouldn't run out of proportion and might end up consuming them. That is drowning them. Zamzam. The Prophet ﷺ said, Rahimallahu Ismail. May Allah have mercy upon the mother of Ismail. If not for her that says Zamzam, the water would have kept running, and no one would know where it would stop. And that was how she took the water and gave it to the child. She drank it as well. And the water was so miraculous that it can satisfy both the hunger and the thirst. It can satisfy the hunger. It can quench the thirst. And this circumambulation that she made between Safa and Marwa was turned into a religious rite for anyone that would perform either Umrah, Lesser Hajj, or pilgrimage Hajj, must circumambulate around these 2 mountains. That is Safa and Marwa. And this is that was how the family of Abraham was chosen. But here, because the verse was specifically discussing Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, this happened to be the first child of Abraham. And when he reached that when he became a toddler, Abraham saw in his dream that he was slaughtering him. Without him having a second child, this is the only child that he had. Yet he dreamt slaughtering him. And the dreams of prophets are supposed to come a reality. In fact, their dreams are part of the divine instructions. When a prophet dreams of something, that means he's being instructed by God to do it. So he came back to Hijaz to meet Hajar Ismail and her son. He told her in privacy that I dreamt and saw myself slaughtering our son. Remember that the older woman did not have a child yet at that point in time. Yet he came from her and told this younger woman that her child would be slaughtered on the ground that he dreamed and saw himself slaughtering him. And the dreams of prophets are supposed to be divine instructions. And of course, that's how they are. And when he told her, she said, well, is it not the same God that gave him to us? I said, yes. Then why? Why are you hesitating to execute his order? Do as you are bidden by him. For me, I have no problem with that. Can you imagine the strength of our faith? Can you imagine the quality of this kind of belief? Can you compare it with any belief elsewhere? A young lady having no one else except her son, and that is the father of the son, yet he just came back from the woman that was yet to deliver, was yet to even conceive a child, and told her that he dreamed of slaughtering their son. Remember that old woman insisted that they must leave that house. Yet she did not suspect anything, because she knew that she lived with a prophet. Here I'm highlighting all this for us to know the kind. When we say the divine choice, what do we mean by the divine choice? When you are chosen by the Almighty Allah, what does that imply? How do we know that you are chosen or not? Is it by the quality of your material life? Is it by your outing? Is it by the quality of life you live in this world? No. It is by the nature of your submission to the Almighty Allah. That explains the kind of choice that the Almighty Allah has of you, whether you are chosen or not. So here you can see in all clarity how the divine choice is. When someone is chosen by God, that's how he would behave. So, and she accepted. And because the family of Abraham was a chosen family, in fact, it was declared as the family of Allah. قالوا أتعجبين من أمر الله رحمة الله وبركاته عليكم أهل البيت إنه حميد مجيد. So Abraham told her that I will not slaughter him here, because by that time some Arab tribes from Yemen came to pass by and saw her, and they used the water by her permission, and they ended up settling there. The tribe of Jurhum, they settled there, and the place grew up into a city. So he said, I will not slaughter him here, so that if I am asked, if I tell them that it's just because of a dream, they will think that I have gone mad. So let me take him out of the city. So he took him along. As they were on their way to the spot of Mina, he asked him, do you know where we are going? He said, I don't know, Dad. He said, I don't know, my dear father, I don't know. He said, Inni ara fil manami anni azbahuka fanzur madha tara. Qala ya abati if'al ma tu'mar satajiduni insha Allahu min as-sabirin. That I have seen in a dream that I am slaughtering you. And the dream of prophets that is throughout the time that it will take you to slaughter me. So we are going to stop here, inshallah. When we come back in the next session, we are going to continue exactly where we stop. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق القدر العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون. يا الله.